Welcome to Red Light, Green Light, the podcast where you'll hear from industry leaders in science, technology, and innovation about the power of strategic storytelling. With decades of experience, our guests will share their own insights and real-world stories to help you avoid red light barriers and ignite green light solutions. From the Zoom room to the boardroom. In each episode, we'll corkscrew downward into the guests' personal experiences of challenge and success, highlighting strategies that turn complex ideas into clear, compelling storylines for stakeholders. Here is where expert minds share stories that shape the future. What's more, you'll walk away with tips to try immediately to drive the vision of innovation with your team. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Light, Green Light. I am your host, Cindy Skalicki, and I bring to you every week amazing leaders with amazing stories and incredible time in their areas of expertise. And today I am thrilled to bring you a very special guest, Jen Kronberger. Jen is lights out amazing in so many ways, and I can't wait for you to hear about the things she brings to the table when it comes to human connection. So Jen is the Chief Inspiration Officer at the Human Leadership Institute. Jen, how are you today? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Cindy. I am always better when I get to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. So I've known you for a while, Jen, and you've brought so many amazing tidbits of knowledge to me personally, and I know to your clients. You have a really awesome history, including work with athletes on performance habits. You've done 4 TEDx talks. You've got a second book coming out. You've done incredible research, like legit research on some of the areas you're focusing on with culture and people. You know, at On Point, a lot of our clients are constantly working on building a stronger culture within that executive leadership team and downstream and outward. So just tell us first a little bit about you and your career kind of stepping stones toward where you are today.
That's a big timeline, but I'm going to shorten it for you.
I'm teeing you up a challenge. You can.
I love a challenge. So if I go back to what I loved most of my life, I was a lifelong athlete, and that was such a really important driver, I think, for my life in so many ways. But what I recognize through that is the mental side of sports is probably the most powerful thing that an athlete can have. Is strong mental toughness.
Yeah.
And so I studied it, and I went back later in life and got my master's degree in sports and human performance psychology.
Okay.
And I started working with professional athletes and little kids and Division I athletes and everything in between. And I started to realize that it wasn't just about the athlete. It was about being human. And it was about, how we show up every day and how we recover after mistakes and how we build connection with people around us, team dynamics, leadership, right? Culture. And I started to recognize the fact that if we could harness some of these skills, especially in the workplace, it could transform some of what I hated when I had a 9-to-5 corporate America job way back in my 20s.
Awesome.
The things that I struggled with, the things that I remember feeling like, well, this doesn't feel good. It was a rough patch for me trying to figure out who I wanted to be with my life. And I took a lot of the things I didn't like in those scenarios, and I wanted to transform those and really bring it back to this human-centered approach. So I took my work back into corporate America, and it worked. It took off.
Okay. This is after you kind of learned some of the mindset pieces you wanted to implement.
Correct.
Is that what? Yep. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So went back and started bringing these to the table. I would say that was probably about 15 years ago. I was out on the speaking circuit I mean, there were a couple of years in the beginning where I was 140, 150 places in a year.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
intense. Sometimes
Flyer miles. Yes.
no joke. Sometimes I was in 3 states in one day.
Oh, come
And I
on.
was hustling.
Jeez.
And I loved it. I loved everything about it. And it was exhausting.
Yeah. 100%.
So as I grew that, I got to the point where I was starting to really enjoy working with certain clients. And I'd have them kind of come back to me and say, hey, can you come back and do something else? Can you come talk to this group? Can you do this? And I finally had a client about, I don't know, 7 years ago or so, reach out to me and say, hey, we love you. We want more of you.
Yes.
So what can we do?
Yeah.
We think you might be the right person to help us with this leadership development programming that we're starting.
Wow. Love it.
And so I said, okay, let's figure out what that looks like. And we did. And I've had an ongoing kind of, you know, some here, some there relationship with that group for the whole time until now. So what I have recognized is I love building relationships. I love the power of being able to sit with a group of people who are dealing with a challenge and watch them overcome that challenge right in front of me.
Yes.
There's, you know, there's nothing like it.
No, it's so great.
So I felt like, you know, we could really do something big in the corporate world, dealing with different levels of leadership. But recognizing that there were certain pieces that had to exist in order for a leader to be successful. And so we came up with what we call Brave Human Leadership.
Awesome. What does that mean?
Program around Brave. Brave stands for belonging, resilience, authenticity, vulnerability, and empathy.
Wow.
And around that, we created an entire program. We built an assessment, the Brave Index. We built a course around that. We do different programming for different companies, 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Sure.
We've done roundtables, you know, where we're really diving into some of this stuff.
Jen, I have a question. Can I bump you back a minute to that time when I want to know kind of what was going on in your head a little bit when you made that jump from, you know, okay, I've got some ideas here after coming out of my master's and my athletic kind of experience with training. I'm going to try this out in the corporate world. See if it sticks. I think this is the time when you were speaking and stuff with, you know, more and more audiences. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers are at a place of that type of pivot. And I know I've been there, and it's scary to throw that out there, spaghetti on the wall, whatnot. Did you have a feeling of certainty that you just like felt like this was going to land, or what level of nervousness, if any? Like, tell us what was going on.
I think there were 2 different sides to that conversation. I think for me, one, when you say, did you have a level of certainty? No, definitely not.
Okay.
It was like, look, I believe in this.
Yeah.
I just need someone else to believe in this.
Okay.
Right. Now, coming from a sports psychology background, I kind of understood the game. I understood how confidence is built and how we lose it. You know, I really focused in on understanding flow and understanding the dynamics of being in the present moment, you know, making that the focus in the conversation. So some of those things I had to my advantage that I could lean into because I was teaching those. But I still felt it. I still felt like, hey, this might work and it might not. And it's a chance we have to take if we're willing to grow, and we want to grow, and we want to become, I mean, look, we can be whoever we want to be, right? It's kind of one of those figure it out, throw it up in the air and see what happens.
See what goes.
But I think, you know, obviously having a background in something that I have proven works was enough for me to say, hey, you know what? I think having these conversations makes sense. So I started by talking with organizations that worked with kids. Started with, you know, like kind of, okay, I've been dealing with athletes for a long time. Let let me do that. And then it just started to kind of build from there. It was like, this person, oh, I heard you speak over here.
Yeah,
Could
it's
you come speak
amazing.
over here?
Just
Right.
kind of keeps flowing. And sports is I talk a lot about sports analogies. You and I share a love of
Yep.
baseball and softball, and we use quarterback. I mean, it's just a really
Yep.
common analogy that works beautifully in speaking.
Sure.
When you coached or when you taught and worked with athletes, was it primarily team sports or a mix of individual? What was
A mix? It was a big mix, actually.
okay.
I even worked with some of my clients. One of them included the number 2 at the time, internationally ranked number 2 Irish step dancer.
Oh, come on. Fantastic.
I've
know it's
worked
a few
with
moves. No.
no.
No, I cannot.
I've worked with equestrian, a lot of people in that realm. I've worked with pro bowlers.
Okay.
Don't know.
Bowlers.
It's like random. I know.
Out there.
It's so interesting. The different, gymnasts and just there was really no, it has to look like this for me.
Okay.
It was really about, I have some tools that I can teach you.
Right.
I have a skill set that can build you up to where you need to be in order to, go out there and perform at your highest level.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what you're competing at. I mean, I've actually worked with professional musicians as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Performance based, right? It's
Totally mindset. Yes. Yes.
So a lot of that was, let's talk about how that shows up for you when you step on stage, when you step on the field, when you step on the court. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are.
Yeah.
This applies because we all have the mental stuff that goes on.
Yeah. 100%. Let's come back to that in a little bit because I have some questions about the flow state you just talked about with athletes. But let's keep that arc going about where you are now and who you're helping and what you're seeing inside of the DNA of the corporate environment and like what do people want and really need. We do so much also on mindset with presenting and, nervousness and trying to get up those next rows of the ladder, those rungs of the ladder inside a business. It is tough right up here in between the ears. It is not easy. So what are you seeing? What have you seen with your research specifically?
Yeah. So we did this proprietary research last year with a third-party research company. And we wanted to test out our Brave model. We said, okay, and again, going back to what we just talked about, did you have certainty that it would be successful?
Yeah.
No, we couldn't.
No, not again. Okay.
So we had to go into this idea of research that, quite frankly, could have proven us wrong.
Right.
And I would have had to
like your mindset channel.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And so we said, okay, well, we're going to roll the dice. And I believe wholeheartedly that we'll find whatever we are meant to find to be able to help people with.
Nice.
And so we went in with an open mind. What came back, I couldn't even be prepared for at the time because it was so incredible. And it was so centered in exactly what we've been talking about. And we just didn't have the words for it.
Oh, I
research gave us the words for it.
Yeah. Right? Oh, great.
Which was really cool.
Remarkable.
And so what we found, what came out of that research, just to kind of give you a quick picture. And we didn't come up with any of these titles or words. The research actually did that for us.
Nice.
We came up with this 4-quadrant system.
Okay.
And a measurement. And it was the axis was people and performance.
Okay.
Okay. And the big question, I guess, for us was, can you do both well? Can you focus on performance while taking care of your people? And
you being the organization.
The organization, the leader.
The leadership. Do both of these things well.
You do both of those things well.
Of course, we want to say, yes, we can. So what's the quadrants?
So what was so fascinating is, we had these quadrants, the upper right-hand corner, which is where you want to be high on both, to successful in both realms.
Yep.
both driving results and taking care of the people, came out to be called the relational leader.
The relational leader. Okay.
We were like, yes,
Hello.
that's it. Right. Hello.
That's exactly
what we're
what
doing.
it is.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So, what was so interesting though about that is it was also the smallest segment of people who answered.
I got to tell you, I'm not surprised, but go ahead.
No, we weren't either.
Yeah, I'm sure not.
I was kind of blown away though that it was only 19%.
Okay.
So we said, well, we have work to do.
Yeah.
Because if only 19% say that they're doing these and doing them well, then we have lots to do.
Yeah. 1 in 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking at that, the lowest corner,
So
low on both, was called the constrained leader.
Okay.
Also fascinating.
Yes.
Because really the constrained leader, the lowest one was the constrained leader. And really what they're saying is that you just like, I don't have the support from my company. It's a lot of finger pointing, a lot of it's not my fault, but nobody is helping me.
Same. Yeah.
To be effective, I have to lead with strength, not empathy. It's about psychological strategies. I was just going to say to like really focus on power.
Okay.
And that, leadership's straightforward. You tell people what to do and they do it kind of.
Oh boy.
Right.
The boss, not the leader. Right.
Correct. Yeah. And so, what was really interesting in that is, yes, this is exactly what we see. That wasn't a surprise, right? It was like, this is what's out there right now. This is what we're feeling, what we're seeing. And that constrained piece, that was the highest percentage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which again,
very telling.
Yes, very telling.
All right. Well, tell us the other two boxes.
So the other two, the performance, high performance, low on people, that was the outcome oriented. Okay. Right? Results, numbers. We don't care about people. A lot of companies absolutely fall into that category.
Sure.
And then the other one was emotionally oriented.
Yep.
High on people,
results,
not enough on results. Not holding people accountable, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Got it.
So I think really for us, what came at the end of that research and us really pouring into the answers of the questions and just a really good feel on how people are seeing this in their own companies. We realized that the focus, that our BRAVE model absolutely is the mechanism to get us to that relational leader.
Okay. So
and
you use kind of like red light, green light language with your work. We talk about red lights and green lights, like helping a speaker take the audience from the red light of risk to the green light of go on an idea or some, fundraising they need to get or buy-in or whatever. But in your world and in the mindset world, BRAVE is the mechanism that helps a team move from the red light of risk being a failed team to the green light of go being a well-oiled, high-functioning, high-performing team. Is that about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that red light that we see, the thing that really triggers that risk feeling and the idea, and what's so fascinating is failure. I studied failure when I did all my work in sports psychology, and I studied failure with a sports psychologist from Florida for about almost a year.
Okay, cool.
And what came of that, what we found to be true, was that failure, we are confused as a society about failure.
Okay.
We're taught, that's what came out of it. We are confused.
Okay, great. That's a great finding. We're confused. We have no.
Let's think about it, right?
Okay.
So we are taught at a young age that failure is what?
Bad.
Okay. So we're taught failure is bad. Failure is bad. Failure is bad here. Like if you got a 41 out of 100, no curve, we would not be going home to mom and dad being like, failure is great, right?
No. Shame.
Then,
right.
Shame. And then as we grow up, we start to be taught the opposite, right? That like failure is great because we're going to learn from it.
Yeah. Fail fast.
correct, right? Fail fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hence the confusion, right?
Because you're
It's
like,
like,
hold the phone.
it's bad here, but it's
Yes.
good here.
Right.
And the problem with that is if you look up failure in the dictionary, it doesn't say see, it depends, right?
What does it say? No.
It's,
Yeah.
you know, if you look at failure as a concept, failure is seeing what didn't work.
Yeah.
Failure is feedback. That's all it is.
Mm. Oh, I like that.
We
Failure
as
is
human
feedback.
beings attach emotion to everything.
Yeah.
We're the ones that say
Wait, can
it.
you say that again? Because I think
Yes.
our audience needs to hear that again.
Yes. So failure is feedback. That's all it is. Once we can detach from the emotion of the outcome, hear that clearly. Detaching from the emotion of the outcome, whether it succeeded or didn't,
Mm-hmm.
taking the emotion out of that, failure is just feedback. We as human beings attach emotion to everything.
I love that. We do.
We do, right? Like people name their cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, Matilda, but right? So like it happens.
Yes.
Failure.
Natural.
So we get to decide failure is good here, but it's bad here.
Yeah.
And when we're asked, like, you know, how many of you want to be a failure? Nobody's hands go up.
Of
Well,
course.
no, failure is good, but not for me. Failure's good, but for you, fail on, my friend. No, like, what is that about?
What's going on?
That's the confusion, right? So the confusion tells us that we have to understand at the core the idea that by failing, we can actually pick out what happened.
Right.
We can see, okay, what did not work.
Right.
Period. That's
Analyze.
right.
Yep.
And so we focus on what didn't work. We can figure out how now to try it a different way.
Right.
But that's we make it personal.
Yeah.
Well, like I failed. I'm back.
Right. I think that, you know, one of the themes I keep hearing you talk a lot about is feelings and emotion, right? Which is a huge piece of, you know, the ability to connect with an audience is the same as the ability to connect with another human being. And you are a phenomenal stage speaker, Jen. So you've done a lot of storytelling yourself. It reminds me of a couple leaders I was working with last week who are, you know, the red light in their minds is really that decision that we have to make when we're about to share a story with an audience, because it's going to create vulnerability for us and open people up to us. And that is damn scary.
It is.
So it took me like a hot minute to get these speakers to go like, oh, no, we're not gonna back off of this.
That's right.
Like, it's gonna work. Stories. So they did it. They both agreed to push forward and go through the wall, right? And neither one of them failed. They both succeeded, and in some shining ways. So they got to that, they got their audience to that green light through story. But I want to ask you about that that storytelling piece and why. I mean, I know what I say about why it works. What in your language resonates? Like, why does it work?
Stories are relatable. You know, if you're speaking in a language that is industry specific or, you know, talking about facts, that's all great. Sometimes we need that information, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, every single thing we do, every single day, is about how we want to feel. Think about it, right? It's like, I'm not going to lose weight just to lose weight. Who does that? That's weird. Just for no reason.
Anyone out there is doing that, it's weird. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. But do it for a reason. Like, I want to be healthy. I want to feel better. I want, whatever. We don't, want the new job and the higher pay just for something to do.
Right.
We want it because of the safety it brings us, because of the confidence, the accomplishment. All of these feelings run everything that we do, right? So when we tell a story to convey something, all of a sudden now, because we think in pictures, right? All of a sudden now that audience is painting that picture in their mind saying, oh yeah, you were out and, in a grassy field. We might all be picturing completely different grassy fields,
Yeah.
But we all know what that looks like.
Right.
You were sitting under a tree. Everyone is going to picture a different tree. But tell me you're not picturing a tree right now. Right?
Right.
Leaning up against the bark hurts your back. Like, right?
Yeah.
When you start to get into the details of what did it smell like? What did it feel like when the sun was beating down on me?
Oh, yeah.
Those moments
right there.
bring people in because they're relatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're relatable.
Sure.
I know what that feels like. I've been there.
Yes.
We have, so I'm geeked out on neuroscience, by the way. That's one of my things.
Yeah.
But the neuroscience of connection tells us this, right?
Yeah.
So when the neurons are firing, looking for connection with someone else, it's why, how do you, when you're making small talk or you're connecting with someone, getting to know someone, what are you always looking for?
Connection, something in common. Right.
Something in common.
It's like that little
That's it.
circle that goes on in your screen. It's like searching for connection.
Yeah. And that's what happens. And so when it's firing in your brain, if it's not connecting and it's doing that, how quickly, if that's your phone that's searching, how quickly does your battery die?
Right.
That's what's happening in your head.
Yeah.
You are getting fatigued and exhausted and burned out, right?
Yes.
Because we have this disconnect that we're feeling with the people around us. Instead of building that connection through story, I always tell people, that the people who are the most successful are the ones who learn how to tell their own story really effectively.
Yes. 100%. And I was reflecting on the reality that, because you said really effectively at the end of your statement just now, and I was reflecting to a couple of folks last week, like, I can't stand here and guarantee that storytelling is going to work for you. You have to tell it well. Like, sorry, but you can tell a story wrong and badly and too fast and too long and too short and too whatever. So story doesn't just automatically work. You have to do it in a certain way, depending on the situation, the audience, your efforts, your objectives, all those things. So I love that. Okay. So I think I'm getting the hang of this. And I would say that storytelling in your Brave model and in your world is one of avenues toward the green light of those teams that can be good leaders and productive leaders, right? What are some of the other ways, aside from story, that get people from red light to green light in your world?
Well, I think what kind of comes off of that storytelling is, and you mentioned it, is the vulnerability. So in Brave, authenticity, vulnerability, and empathy are there for a reason, right? And so the more authentic we can be telling my story openly and honestly, the more vulnerable I have to be. But yet we have seen in research that shows us vulnerability is real power. Okay. And then the more empathy I bring to the table is that relatability. It's that, wow, I feel that. And I see you. Every single human being wants to feel seen and listened to. That validates our human existence, right? And that's across the board. And so doing that and actually being a part of that for us, that brings our Brave model for full circle, right? It creates belonging. And it gives us the opportunity to, again, sit in that space together. We do this exercise that I absolutely love, and it's, we call it empathy share.
Oh, tell
so we have our empathy pairs, some people call it. At the end of our sessions, a lot of times we'll end with this, and we have two people just pair up in a group and face each other. Now, I don't mean like this kind of face each other, because you know how people are like, all right, I'll turn to you like this.
No,
but my knees are still going this way.
Straight on.
Knee to knee. I mean, we're talking like square down. Knee to knee, eye to eye. I am completely 100% in it with you. Number one, that shows the respect of the listen. And it shows the fact that nothing else is going to kind of permeate this. We're in it together. That's the presence of flow, right?
So good. Okay.
So we do this, each person, excuse me, gets a few minutes to share a story of a time where they had to overcome something really big in their lives.
Okay.
We do it so that there's person A and person B. Person A is the storyteller. Person B is the listener. You are not allowed to talk if you are person B.
Okay.
all you can do is ask clarifying questions.
Okay.
So like,
For
to
example.
explain more,
Okay.
like you're saying, hey, I was out, blah, blah, blah. Can you tell me more about that? Or where were you going? Or, whatever, just clarifying questions
Yes.
that help you see the story better.
Yes. Got it.
That's it. No commentary. No, that must have been hard. None of that.
Okay. Ooh, this must be hard for the listener.
It's unreal. Because a lot of times I have to walk around and remind people, if you are person B, I don't know why two people are talking in the same pair.
Like a teacher.
Person B, you're not allowed to talk. But it's unbelievable when we get through these. There are tears. There are always hugs. They stand up and hug each other. People who didn't even know each other.
Yes.
People like, oh, I've seen her around the company, but I don't know what she does. It's so powerful. And what are they doing? They're telling a story.
You know what they're doing? They're setting up time to go to lunch next week after your meeting, because you will find people that you connect to, and it changes your world when you have that moment in the 3D, like head to toe, not Zoom. You can make connections on Zoom. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But like
we do it on Zoom and it works great. And there's something about that tangible, face-to-face energy that you're giving each other, and the ability to listen to each other without interrupting, without thinking about what am I going to say next. Like none of that's happening. You are in it and you're listening.
Yes. I can imagine that.
And then we switch.
Yeah.
So each person gets a chance to do it. And then we debrief. What did that feel like? Notice I said, what did that feel like? Not how was it?
Right.
What did that feel like for you?
Right.
To listen and not be able to talk.
Right.
What did it feel like to be that vulnerable and them not saying anything? Right. So there's so many things that come from that, but just a simple exercise like that is storytelling. I am telling this story that is so intense for me, and you're taking it all in.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's magical. It is magical. We love doing that.
So good. So good. Okay. I gotta get to one question that is on my mind, and then I'll turn us toward kind of some other thoughts I have. But I want to ask for those listening that, they might be sitting in their car or driving or running or whatever, and they're like, man, I don't have a culture like this we are so far from what you just said, Jen. I don't even know how I could make one splash of a difference. What do you say to people in those situations who are listening that might help move the needle just for them at the start, right? Like, what do you say to people who are in those places?
Call me. Beyond that, I think it starts with a really simple move, right? And that simple move, next time you are, starting a meeting, or you're, starting a gathering, or the very first thing that, you get on a call, just even one-to-one, the very first question is, how are you doing? And be quiet and let them talk. And let them, and if they say, I'm good, how are you? You pause and you say, but how are you doing really? And then you see the shoulders drop and the audible exhale. Well, here's what's going on.
Do you know what? This is funny. Funny, not funny. Well, funny. Our phone call before we hit record, I was like, you said, how are you doing? And I was like, well, do you really want to know? And then I told you something that was hard.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
And it brought us to a place of realness.
Absolutely.
I know you very well. We've been there before, but I love
But how easy was that? And you saw it in real life, just right? So that I've made that a habit.
Yes.
Is anytime I get on a call with someone, I don't care if we don't get to any kind of business conversation.
Right.
If we have a human conversation, because that's where we need to be right now, then that's what we do.
Yes.
I'll tell you, more often than not, when we take the time to do that, it's like, I don't have that kind of time. We're going to waste time. Actually, you're going to gain time.
Right.
You're going to gain time, because so often you have people who are disconnected and not engaged and just kind of going through the motions. If you give them a reason, and you have a compacted time frame to get things done, things get done.
Right. Because you're
Period.
sharing things that create trust
That's right.
and respect.
Nothing exists outside the hands of trust. Nothing.
Oh my gosh. If we were on a call for work, let's say we worked in the same company together and we had
That
30
would be
minutes.
trouble.
Yeah. Be in serious trouble. Hey, wait.
And
Back
fun.
to reality
Go
or
ahead.
the lower level of reality. Let's just imagine though, like we had 30 minutes to get something done. We had to
Mhm.
meet on a phone call to get something accomplished. If you and I had spent, if we spent 20 minutes being vulnerable and authentic, guess what? I think I'm hearing you say that those last
Yeah.
10 minutes, we'd get that stuff done. Like
Absolutely.
fast, because
Mhm.
we've gained respect. We've both been heard, and we both are going to help each other get
That's
the
right.
thing done by
Exactly.
the end of the call because we've just built relationship.
You build a
I
relationship.
love that.
Again, that gets back to our relational leader, right? That's why they're successful.
And guess what you have to
Because
be in order to do that scenario that I just described? Brave.
that's right.
You have to be courageous
That's right.
to do some of the tips that you bring to the table, Jen. But I'll tell you what, that's the place where people can be for others, like that guiding light.
Right.
And I mean, frankly, you'll earn, not that this is the reason to do that, but you do like elevate your own executive presence for other people.
Absolutely.
You become a leader in other people's eyes, and you earn trust and respect as a, as a follow-up to the initial reasons for doing those things. So, oh, I love that. Get to the green light of bravery.
That's
and
it.
Model.
As quickly as possible. And that absolutely comes from connection of human beings.
Yeah.
It
Oh.
comes from being real.
Well, I want to go to the athlete flow question I had from earlier, and then I want to close us up by asking kind of what you see in the tea leaves coming up in industry and trends and connection with AI and stuff like that. So, but I am so curious because I do love sports, and I'm imagining, let's say you're working with like a baseball player who's, let's say you're working with like Javi Baez in like 2017 when his batting average was terrible. I mean, he just couldn't quite get that. And I've read about Joe Maddon's approach to helping him and just talk to us a little about what gets in the way for athletes. And we can all certainly put ourselves in the place of when things get in our way. What is the flow state you were referencing? Tell us some things that maybe we could do.
So some things that came out of the sports psychology world for me, like I said, really had to do with like life outside of being an athlete. It showed up as an athlete because you could see where things were. You watch, and we'll use baseball since that's our thing.
Yep.
And pitchers and catchers soon, by the way. Week.
I know. Training coming up.
Favorite day of the year. So what was so fascinating for me, I've worked with professional baseball players, and something that would come up often, and I'll give you this kind of example. I had a guy who he called me the first day of spring training, and he said, "Hey, Jen, I need a little help." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I am struggling with my confidence." And I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean? You've made it."
Yeah, like,
what do you mean? Huh? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's called being human. Realized. And he really helped me to understand that it's not about where you are, what level you're on. It's about the fact that I don't care how good you are, there are those moments of doubt that those really good people just learned how to squash quicker.
Okay.
Okay.
For sure.
Because it exists. It's real.
Yeah.
And so what we did for him is I said, okay, well, here's my first question. Why do you play this sport? And he paused for a second, and really literally a second, and said, I play because I love it. I said, great.
Awesome.
So for love of the game, right? And he said, yeah, that's exactly right. I said, okay, well, there's your mantra for today. And you're going to go out there and you're going to repeat that to yourself over and over, especially you step into the box, for love of the game, for love of the game. And that's going to be your thought. Because when you can focus on that, when you have something that you're saying and you're repeating in your head, your brain, we think we're good multitaskers. Research proves us wrong.
Right.
Your brain actually can't focus on two things at the same time. And so while you're saying, I'm doing this for love of the game because I love the game, feel what that feels like as you step into the box, you're holding the bat. This is your life.
Yeah.
You get to do this.
Right.
That changes now from the doubt that's like, I'm not good enough. Why am I here? I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to, you know, if I am the guy on the pedestal, I'm going to fall off. I don't want to be that guy. Like it was this constant flow of negativity.
Yep.
We squash that by changing the words that you're saying.
Well, if there's one person I've watched who loves the game, it's Javi Baez. I mean, good grief, that guy moves around the diamond like nobody's business. It's amazing. Well, now you've put me in a place where I need you to tell the 3 R's, because that's a tip I've stolen and used, and it's related to sort of the story it reminded me of. So tell us the quick.
Absolutely. So the 3 R's, and you can do this in literally like 3 seconds standing in the middle of a play. This is why this was so effective for my athletes that I worked with. The first R is recognize. So here's the doubt. I'm not good enough. Oh, there it is. That's all I said. Really, that's all I want you to say. There it is. Invite it in. Recognize that it's there. Hey, I see you. Okay. No judgment. It is what it is, right? Recognize it. Then the second one is regroup, which means I'm literally going to take a deep breath.
Okay.
That actually resets our central nervous system.
Okay.
So that is a physiological result. So I'm going to, there it is. Let everything drop. Okay. And now I'm going to refocus or reframe, or however you want to put it, reset, whatever. I'm going to reframe the thing that was just happening here, and I'm going to change it to, I play for love of the game. Hit the ball, have fun, whatever.
See the ball, hit the ball, have fun. That's what
that actually started to become a mantra for this guy that I was talking about. Yes. Hit the ball, hit the ball, have fun. That was his pre-at-bat routine.
Pre-game thing. Yeah. See the ball, hit the ball, have fun.
Period. That's it. That's all I'm focused on.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one of my coaches when I played softball and I had a slump. This is the stupidest sounding piece of advice, and yet it works. He would say to me, watch the ball, hit the bat. Because I kept taking my eyes off the ball and swinging up and moving my head out. And he'd say, watch the ball, hit the bat. And I'm like, that's dumb. Of course I'm doing that. And then I'd get in there. And then I would like hit like a triple or something.
And you're like, oh, I saw it hit the bat. Weird.
Back to the basics, my friends. Right.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So just to recap, we've got the 3 R's are recognize, regroup, refocus.
Focus or reframe.
I love that. Or reframe. Great. Well, with our last couple minutes, Jen, talk to us a little about what you're experiencing looking ahead. What's on your mind these days as you look forward?
So we've really been diving into that research that we did. And because what I'm seeing is the fact that those segments that came out, the relational, especially the relational and the constrained, the two polar opposites, the constrained being the largest group and the relational was the smallest group. How can we move those people to that other segment? And by using our BRAVE model, what we've been trying to do is create opportunities for leaders to have the right conversations at the right time, right?
Okay.
So learning how to take care of your people, starting every meeting with, how are you doing?
Right.
How's your son? I remember you saying he was sick last week. How is he? Be a human.
Connection. Yeah.
Be a human and lead that way. So in other words, if you're going through something, don't hide it.
Yeah.
Because they're going to know.
Yeah.
And also be able to, I'm not saying you have to share your deepest, darkest stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, be a human. Like, hey, we've been struggling. Here's what's going on for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's human. And the more we connect on that level, the more success we have as leaders and as cultures. So what we are focused on right now is really kind of peeling back some of the stuff that we've built on as shields to protect us, and moments that we feel like, gosh, I should just be quiet and not say anything, right? Is being able to show up with that vulnerability and authenticity and empathy. And we're seeing now more than ever tech transformation, AI, all of the stuff, even just everything that's going on around us today. It's a lot of noise.
Yep.
And we have to find ways as leaders to look at people, say, you know what, we got to take care of our people. And if we take care of our people, the results always take care of themselves.
That's right.
And that's really where we're focused, is really working with companies who say, gosh, you know what? We have a gap there.
Yeah.
We have a gap there. Most people do.
Yeah, most people do.
We can help you solve that.
And one of your most fun phrases that I learned from you is, if you don't have a people problem, you have a people problem.
Yes.
Which is just so true. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's, you know, really, if you can really trace everything back to how are people connecting in the workplace,
which is communication, right? Well, for those watching and listening, please go to Jen. She's got an amazing TEDx that's right before the pandemic. Jen, which one was it? On loneliness. It was so
crazy.
Profound. I know.
It was November of 2019, and my topic was loneliness and how connection, compassion, and community will save us.
Yep.
November of 2019.
Hello.
Like, did you have a crystal ball?
Yeah.
No,
did you have?
I did not.
I shook the magic 8 ball, and you'll never
talk about loneliness. It's coming. You know, and so the magnitude of that is not lost on me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was already being researched as an epidemic around the globe.
Yeah.
And so I decided, you know, loneliness in the workplace. A lot of people are talking about it, silos and like head down, get your work done. Yeah. Even, you know, virtual people being
for that
apart, you know, so what does that look like? And then we dive into COVID and we had to do that even more drastically.
Well, I just want to say to my audience of listeners and anyone who's visiting, like, I have shared your loneliness TEDx talk multiple times, not just for the message, but for your delivery of it, because a lot of people, well, it's because of a specific reason. A lot of people think that on a stage, they have to deliver with wild hands motions, walking like big movements. And you have this beautiful presence of just, you draw people in. You know, there's many different styles of speaking, and yours is one I love to share with people who have a similar, you know, vibe, if you will, of you, and aren't going to go out there and be like some of the other speakers you and I both know who are bigger on the stage.
Don't be inauthentic, right?
Yeah, it's just being about you and
appreciate
that connection. Jen, really quick, tell us the name of your book and where people can find you.
So you can find me at www.thehli, the Human Leadership Institute, thehli.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can just search by my name or the Human Leadership Institute.
Yep.
The book is coming out in March. And we're excited because this has been a long time coming. This is book number 2. It's called Meet Them Where They Are. You'll be able to find it on our website for an autographed copy, and then otherwise it'll be on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Awesome.
And things.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jen,
for having me.
Sharing some of these amazing tips and your wisdom and some storytelling. It's awesome to see you here. You're bringing serious gold to our audience, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Cindy. Always good.
You bet. Hey, everybody. We'll be in touch with you again next week with another awesome episode from Red Light, Green Light. In the meantime, get out there, make some connection with people, and go nail it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.